Hi, Pisces rising sign. Here is your weekly forecast starting on the 24th of March until the 31st of March. This week is a heavy duty transition in your second house, the house of finances. So last week you had the Sun conjunct Neptune in your second house, and this likely felt like a financial fog. Maybe you were overspending on your vibes, or perhaps you were just avoiding looking at your bank account because it felt very overwhelming. But on March 25th, the Sun hit Saturn in that same second house. So dream is over and the audit begins. This is the day you sit down, look at the numbers, and you realize that to have the freedom you want, the financial freedom, you need a rigid structure. So it's pretty much time to stop hoping for money and start pretty much engineering it. Now, I think the headline event is March 27th. Saturn in your second house is in sextile to Pluto in your 12th house. And this is a massive level up. Think back to January 2020. Back then, you went through a total collapse or restructuring of your social circles and goals. You learned hard lessons about who you can trust. Now that Pluto energy is in your 12th house, the house of things that is hidden from the public. So you are taking this hidden asset or a skill you have been refining in private and finally turning it into a stable income stream. Maybe you have been studying something like tech or certain type of niche strategy in secret. And this week you use the discipline of Saturn to monetize it. You are bridging the unseen work into something tangible profit. So this is about building a financial fortress that no one potentially sees coming just yet. We also have got the Vesta and the North Node conjunction happening also on the 27th. And the North Node and the Vesta conjunction is in your first house. And imagine that Vesta is about devotion. So maybe you are devoted to help others. Maybe you are devoted to sort out your physical body. Maybe you are devoted to make something happen in your life, to go towards a dream of yours, for example. Maybe you are ready to make changes in your life, in your physical body. Maybe you are ready to sign a contract that secures, for example, your long-term financial future. Maybe you realize that you have been giving away maybe your expertise or your physical energy to others, and maybe you're gonna kind of create this holy no type of scenario. Maybe you realize that I want to be protecting you want to be protecting your resources. For example, this is the moment you commit to this new standard of what you will and won't accept. The reason being is because Mars is the ruler of your second house, so this is still talking to us about finances. We also have got the Mars and Pallas Athene conjunction happening as well. And it's in your first house. And this is pretty much your secret weapon, I would say. You know, Mars rules your second house as well as your ninth house. The second house is money, ninth house is higher wisdom. So Pallas Athene is the strategist. So, because this conjunction happens in your first house, this is talking to us about you being the engine of the changes. You know, this is telling you not to follow, for example, any type of generic business plan. This is about you having the ability to see patterns in the market or in your workflow as well, or things that others are actually missing. This is telling you to trust your physical gut reactions. And if something feels off, then it is off. Don't go for it. Maybe you can see the gap in a project that you can fill. It's a bit of a market trend analysis for me. And this is asking you not to wait for permission from others. You have got the authority energy to basically, your strategy is your authority. Now, we also have got the Venus and Juno conflict happening this week as well. And we have got Venus in your second house, and Juno is in your 11th house. So this is For me, it feels like that you might be overspending, like you have committed, for example, to this long-term goal, but maybe you are not ready to invest money into it. Or I can also imagine that a friend of yours, who has got certain type of financial obligations towards you, and you would like to get that back, but maybe they are not necessarily ready to give it to you. Maybe actually you have been working hard on your second house structures and you would like to enjoy the fruits of that labor. Maybe you are ready to make a commitment to a collaboration, for example, and hoping that you are going to be receiving money. I think this could also talk to you about that you are trying to monetize a hobby of yours. But this might be a social event, for example, and then you are spending too much money on it. But I would say that be a little bit careful, especially around the 31st of March, because Venus, the ruler of your third house and eighth house, enters your third house. And it's going to be squaring Juno there. So, Venus in the third house wants to buy something for the immediate environment. Maybe I want to buy a new phone or a car, but that square to Juno also indicates that we have got hidden commitments or a bill from the past is kind of like just coming around and something that you haven't expected. Maybe you want to sign a new small scale contract or buy a piece of tech, but you realize that, you have got these hidden debts or commitments you made. And this makes the purchase difficult or your finances a little bit, kind of on the heavier. Maybe we want to be double checking what subscriptions we've got, what auto pays we've got before we commit to something new. So I think this week is about stopping the leak, the financial leak a little bit. That Sun and Saturn conjunction is kind of like a financial auditor. It asks you to clean up your accounts. That 12 and second house activation is really telling you to look at what things you do just for fun or what are your hidden talents that you can actually monetize. But surely make sure that you watch out for any type of bills that are coming in because Venus rules bills in your chart as well. And it's squaring Juno. The exact square actually, not just between the second and the 11th house, but the exact square is going to be happening on the third and the 12th house. But it starts at the beginning of the week like that. So this could really talk to us about that you are spending your money without realizing that you have got hidden commitments and the bill can be coming in. And maybe that Venus wants you to invest in communication as well. This is about your voice becoming more valuable. So it's time to speak up, but also watch out for the hidden costs of that. For example, if you have got something to discuss with your partner, this might be, a bit of a risky endeavor because it's a square. And this might be pushing someone away from your life or away out of your life. So that's also important to mention here. I think the Sun and Saturn conjunction, this is not just about your wallet, but what I own, as well as your self-worth. So imagine that Sun and Saturn is kind of like a financial auditor walking into your office and then they want to see your account. So this is a week when you have to do the budgeting. You're going to have to start the fact-based restructuring. This is not necessarily a time to avoid your bank application, for example, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to face the music. But also it's very important that Saturn and Pluto are in this sextile. Maybe, back in 2020, you had to be pruning, of your social circles or your long-term dreams. And at that time, you had to learn that some of your friends weren't allies or some of your dreams were just kind of like distraction. So this is a time to get a bit more real about it. Um, Something that you might have been working on for a while, and maybe it's time to actually put it out there. Remember, Saturn represents your long-term goals in this chart. So you have been doing something 2020, which is time now to monetize on that. And you are the engine of that. With that Western North Node conjunction, this is very much about which is also connected somehow to finances. So it feels like that's a financial independence. Vesta is a financial asteroid at the end of the day. It's a sacred duty to take care of who you are and to go after your dreams and, in a way, to grow as well. And also, this might be a period of time when you have to set a firm boundary. You know, if a client is late on a payment or a friend asks you for a loan, actually you can't afford, then the Northland is trying to teach you to say, to be able to say no, because you have to be able to choose yourself. And with Mars and Pallas Athene, it's kind of like you being the most dangerous person in the room, but in a good way. You don't have to shout to get your way. It's about seeing who you truly are, seeing that strength within yourself. It's about negotiations and it's about a strategy. It's about navigating through work meetings because Mars rules your second house, right? This is about seeing your kingly energy. So have a great week, and I hope to see you very soon. Take care. Bye bye.